When I was asked to give this talk this morning, I really thought what better way to introduce my book by literally giving you a taste and a page right out of it. Now, The Enchanted Garden is a cookbook based on magical herbalism. And magic, by definition, is the use of natural energies to bring about needed change. And magic gets its power from the earth. So herb magic, or magical herbalism, is really just a special form of magic that utilizes the powers of each plant and herb to manifest specific personal transformation. The herbs, spices, and fruits, vegetables have long been known to really possess the powers within them to bring about needed change. And magical herbalism is, the theory of it anyway, is very similar to aromatherapy. I'm going to assume most of us have heard or are familiar with that. And aromatherapy uses the powers of the plant, and through its use and your intention, help you or assist you in achieving your desired goal. Well, magical herbalism is just a different form in which to utilize these plants and herbs. And the purpose of this book really is, oops, I almost fall off my stool here. The purpose of the book really is to promote emotional and spiritual growth through cooking. The book promotes awareness of all the positive energy all these plants and herbs possess, and the recipes that follow provide you with the tools to connect with these powerful energies and allow you to enhance your ability to create positive change in your lives. Now, what brought me to this is my passion for cooking, and my interest in herbalism is really what led me to uncover all these magical energies. I grew up in an Italian family where everybody in my family loves to cook, and the cooking really was a form of or expression of love. And sharing and cooking a meal together was really bonding with my family and friends. That most of my fondest memories, I think in fact all of them with my family, really are based around cooking or preparing a meal or some kind of celebration. And even though all of my family members, we all live in different states now, whenever we get together, actually even before we get together, one of the first things we start talking about is the menu. Who's cooking, what's getting cooked. And so to me, cooking really promotes family time. It literally gives you the opportunity to sit with your family and friends and share a meal. And sharing a meal is sharing your energy. So even if you do live alone, and cooking gives you the opportunity to, or a chance to nurture yourself, but more importantly, it allows you to be in the moment. Now, I live alone and often cook for myself, but for me, when I cook for myself, it always brings me a sense of, bring me back to a warm feeling of home. So I never really feel like I'm cooking for myself. It's just, it's a loving, nurturing thing that we could do for ourselves. One of the things that I really do love about cooking, though, is that it requires focus. And no matter what kind of day I'm having, especially if I've got a lot on my mind, cooking for me gives me the sense of release. It allows me really to let go of that monkey mind and, and just concentrate on what's in front of me. It makes me really pay attention to what is in front of me. And honestly, it makes me feel really good to know that I'm actually creating something. Now, I'm not a professional chef, and I don't have any formal culinary training or experience. I'm just a home cook. But the reason I really love to cook is simple. It really allows me to express, or gives me the freedom, rather, to express myself and my spirit. What led me to herbalism in general is I was suffering from specific physical symptoms. I would get a lot of migraines and sinus problems. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I keep pulling this away. Closer? Okay. And after taking prescription medicines for some time and the symptoms weren't relieved, I started to get really frustrated. And some friends of mine really suggested that that the possibility of it might be certain foods that I'm eating, and then to possibly look into that and try some natural herbs that may relieve my symptoms. Well, I didn't want to just relieve my symptoms, of course. I really wanted to find out the root of the problem and uncover what was causing these symptoms. So I started to do some research and on books on anything and everything relating to food sensitivities or allergies. And most of the books, or just about all of the books, really one of the very first things I had to do was start to pay attention to what I was eating. It really forced me to become aware of what I was eating. I mean, you know, I'd been cooking for years, and we all eat. We do that because we like the taste of food, but we don't really pay attention to what it, you know, the reactions that it gives us or the way it makes us feel. So I decided to keep a track, or a journal rather, of all the things I was cooking with. So every ingredient or anything that I was eating, I would write down, along with how these foods affected how I felt. Interestingly enough, though, in the interim of this, I also started to become aware of how these particular foods started to, or they would invoke in me, a specific emotional reaction. So it seemed even before I would taste these foods, the aroma would stimulate my senses and awaken a very positive feeling or memory in me that would always give me the sense of being very safe and loved. And after a while, I started to realize that's what their purpose was. These plants really wanted us to feel safe and loved. They seemed to offer an opportunity to restore and keep the balance in our lives. So along with writing down the physical symptoms that I was getting from these particular plants and ingredients, I started to write down the emotional reactions that I was feeling. Now, for example, one of my favorite herbs is basil. There's nothing not to like about basil, the smell and the taste. But every time what I noticed every time I used basil was it would always give me the very strong sense of power. And when I smelt the basil, it would give me a sense of purpose and determination. When I tasted it, I got a strong feeling of kindness. But not only was I getting a sense of this collective energy, I would also get a very strong sense of the overall intention or purpose of the herb, and which for basil for me was courage. So it was like these collective energies I felt individually, but together they gave me a sense of that basil was offering me the energy of courage. After a while, I really felt good knowing that I was really eating and absorbing all these energies every time I cooked and ate. So my physical symptoms started to heal by changing the foods in my diet. I was now aware of, or becoming more aware of, the foods that were aggravating my symptoms, so I would either eliminate or limit them. But it still left me with a curiosity of these emotional reactions that I was feeling. And so I decided to, write this down on a journal as well. What I would do was take a few minutes every time I cooked and tune into the ingredient and write down what I felt from them, along with the collective energies, what their purpose was. And each of these ingredients really had their own unique energy and intention to offer. They seemed to address literally a specific need or desire in me. So my physical symptoms, manifested really to get my attention, which led me to really uncover some emotional imbalances I had had in my life as well. And these plants really offered me the assistance or the help to try and heal these, or obtain a goal of trying to heal and balance my life. So my curiosity at this point was really piqued. I really wanted to learn just about anything I could about the herbs, not only the histories and the origins, but I was really curious I wanted to see if there was anything out there that related to what I was feeling and the intuitive messages that I was receiving. So I, again, started to do some research, but all I could really find out there at the time was histories, origins, and every book that I had come across really only dealt with the medicinal attributes of these plants and herbs. They concentrated more on the physical challenges or overall well-being of our physical bodies. But when we focus really only on our physical, it really leaves us with an imbalance in our lives. I mean, we need to really, I'm sorry. When we focus only on the physical, it really leaves us an imbalance, and it's really, although it's extremely important for us to take care of our physical bodies, it's as equally as important to nurture our emotional and spiritual needs. So, I mean, I feel to obtain a true balance, we first really need to embrace our spirit, and then once we do that, the mind and body will follow. So I began to get really frustrated at the fact that I couldn't really find, or the lack of information out there that on what I was feeling. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to keep a journal to myself. Maybe it's me, I'm crazy, I'm not going to share this information, because I didn't feel I had anything to really back me up. So I let it be and kept it to myself until one day I had gotten a phone call from a friend I hadn't seen in quite a while, and he was in a bookstore and told me he came across a book called Magical Herbalism and offered to pick it up for me. Strange how that happens when you give up. But as soon as I started to read that book, it was the light bulb went off. It was exactly what I was looking for. It was validation. And, the knowledge that I needed to back me up, so to speak. And what this did was, with this knowledge, really, I decided it sparked the desire in me now to share this information. Before, I didn't want to do that because I knew people would be asking me questions as to what this was, and if I was only feeling it, I needed to have something to back me up. So using this knowledge and my own intuitive senses is really what inspired the creation of 57 magical and interactive gifts. I wanted to create an easy and approachable atmosphere where I can really demonstrate how to connect with these powerful energies. I really wanted to pass this information along with the tools to how to create positive change in our lives. So what I decided to do was start to teach cooking classes out of my home. And this really gave me the opportunity that I was looking for. And before each class, what I would do is write down basically what you have in your hand. I'd do a little gift card, and I would write down all the ingredients that we were using or cooking that evening, along with their energies and intention. And of course, they'd get a copy of the recipe, whatever we were cooking that evening. So now what I did was I armed my students along with myself. They had this knowledge now. They had the choice to either pass it along, or they had the choice to just go home and create their own magic in their own kitchen. Now, like many of us, I was working a full-time job in the corporate world and teaching these classes on the side. After about 18 years in the advertising industry, I was really becoming increasingly unhappy with what I was doing. I knew I needed a change, and I knew that I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and that was to take my side business into making it a full-time business. Unfortunately, of course, I still had all my financial obligations to consider, and knew that it would be very difficult to leave a comfortable environment. So I procrastinated and procrastinated until one day the universe came along and gave me a big fat kick in the butt called downsizing, and I lost my job. And of course, I was scared, like anybody would be, I was scared in the beginning, and I ran out looking, getting interviews and looking for jobs. And, but oddly enough, I really found myself sabotaging these interviews. I mean, my heart just wasn't in it, and it was really just time to move on. So fortunately, my company that I had been with had given me a very nice severance pay, and along with that and some savings I had, I just decided to take a leap of faith. And I wanted to create and design products that would nurture our emotional and spiritual needs. I also wanted to reach out or give to those people who were really unable to take my classes and give them the opportunity to create their own magic in their own home. So what I did was decide to take all of my recipes and all of this intuitive message and knowledge of the plant energy and compile it into one book. And now we have the birth of the Enchanted Garden. I've just given you like pretty much a brief overview of what magical herbalism really is and what it brought me to that. What I really want to talk about is how these plants really help us create positive or needed change in our lives. As I mentioned earlier, herb magic consists of choosing certain foods based on their energy and your specific need or desire. So if you're lucky enough to know what you need and want, you would use this book as a guide for yourself to that would enhance the effectiveness of your desired outcome. Because when we eat, our bodies absorb these energies. So it's very similar to taking vitamins and supplements. You know, we take vitamins and supplements for specific physical needs. We know that these vitamins and supplements they have a purpose and they address that need. We don't, once we take these vitamins, we don't think about it anymore. We just, we take them, we forget about it. We trust that, we don't think, is the calcium really making my bones stronger today, or vitamin E making my skin look nice. We trust in the purpose, we know what they're for, so we take it and we surrender. Well, the same method really applies to magical herbalism. You're going to address your desire or need and choose the right foods, allow the body to absorb it, and surrender it. Now, I started off this morning posing a question to you about creating a balance between your practical side and your playful side. I chose today to give you the sample page out of my book on nuts. And if you take a look at the card, you'll see all the energies that it has to offer and its specific intention. Please don't eat the candy yet. We're getting there. So if you're like me, I tend to get caught up in the practicalities of life, working far more than having time to play. And in fact, sometimes, feeling like I don't even really have the time to break away from my routine or responsibilities to go play. So usually when this happens, I'm sure like many of us, I start to crave chocolate and nuts, and preferably together. But I also know when this happens, it's really a subtle reminder for me that I need to, restore the balance in my life in this area. So in other words, it's time to stop and go play and rejuvenate myself. Now, if you look at the energies, nuts offers me the energy of freedom, which gives me the feeling of being safe. It offers vulnerability, which allows me to surrender. It offers me responsibility, which gives me the sense that everything at this moment is in divine order. And it offers me the courage to break away from my routine and responsibilities and be more spontaneous. And chocolate offers the gift of pleasure. So the two of them together, along with my intention, help me create my desired outcome. Now, as I said, if you're lucky enough to know what you need and want, you'd use this as a guide. But what if you don't know what you need or want, which I think many of us can attest to at times in our lives? You know something's out of whack or out of balance, but you really can't pinpoint the cause of what's what it is. We always hear the term emotional eating, and usually it's referring to reasons we may overindulge in food. Well, I use it or refer to it as a reason to uncover what your true need or desire really is. You know, we all have our favorite foods we buy every week, keep in the fridge, or if you cook every week, things that you cook with every week. For me, that's garlic and onions. I mean, I don't start a meal off, I can't even think of a meal I don't start off with garlic or onions or both. But sometimes I find myself buying or picking foods or eating foods, fruits, vegetables, spices, or certain flavorings that I actually even crave, but for only a specific or certain period of time. Now, I love broccoli. That's one of my favorite vegetables. But there was a time that I would cook and eat broccoli with my meal for about 3 months straight. Now, I have no idea what suddenly dawned on me that I was actually eating the same vegetable every night with my meal. But when I did realize that, I went to my journal to look up what I had written up about broccoli. And broccoli holds the energy of humor, stimulation, enrichment, and happiness. And it offers the gift of laughter. Well, as soon as I read that, I really understood why I was craving or wanted to eat broccoli every single night. During that period of time, I was going through some personal difficulties, and of course, that was a very draining and stressful time in my life. The energy of the broccoli offered me humor to remind me to lighten up, and it offered me stimulation to keep me or help me feeling inspired. It offered me happiness and enrichment to remind me to be grateful for all of the things or blessings I already had in my life. So it seemed like even before I knew, my spirit knew what I was in need of. And my awareness of these energies allowed me to uncover what I really needed, which in this case was laughter. I mean, laughter makes you feel good. It relieves your stress, your anxiety. So now that I knew what I needed, along with addressing that particular area in my life, I started to choose foods that were aligned with what I wanted to achieve and to help me restore my balance in my life and get me through this particular period in time. Now, you might think all this food has, because it's got all this wonderful, powerful, magical energy, that the more you eat, the better it will be. But unfortunately, it does exactly the opposite. It actually weakens the powers. So overindulgence really creates an overload on our senses, which really blocks and numbs our feelings. So if you really can't feel, then you really can't uncover what you need or desire, or even begin to know how to address how to take care of that. One of the best examples I can give to you is around the holidays, I do an enormous amount of baking. So after baking and eating a couple of dozen cookies, the smell and the taste of these cookies no longer stimulate my appetite. You know, that wonderful smell of fresh baked cookies in the house just do not give me the same feeling it did when I first started baking. In fact, as I continue to bake, I no longer have the temptation to eat them. So between the baking and the eating, I overloaded my senses to the point where I had no more desire. It sort of shut down my system, which in one case is good because it allowed me to continue finishing baking without eating them. But unfortunately, or unfortunately, however you look at it, the very next day I come back to my senses and head back to the cookies. Again, it's like taking vitamins. If you're taking a vitamin for a specific physical need, you wouldn't take an entire bottle of vitamins in hopes that it would heal or work any faster. I mean, you would, for the most part, it would probably cause us more harm than good. And I feel what these plants and herbs are here for are really to help us feed our needs instead of stuffing them. Now, the best part about this whole thing, I feel, is that all of these foods that I'm talking about, ingredients, is that you've been eating to benefit your physical body, also nurture your emotional and spiritual needs as well. So you don't have to go to some out-of-the-way specialty store or cook it a certain way or find a certain vegetable. Every one of these ingredients is probably something you've been eating and cooking all along and is in your refrigerator or pantry. It's just that we haven't been aware of these particular energies before. Now, I know garlic and onions are beneficial in lowering my blood pressure and my cholesterol, but I now also know that they offer me the gifts of hope and release. As I said earlier, I don't start any meals off pretty much without garlic and onions, so that's pretty much a staple in my cooking. So I really like knowing every time I start a meal that garlic not only offers me the energy of release, it gives me, or the gift of release rather, it offers me the energy of integrity and potential. And onions not only gift me with hope, they also offer me the energy of clarity and desire. So again, we've been eating these foods all along without the awareness. But without the awareness and your intention, all of these magical powers lay dormant. It's really the awareness that helps us create a union between this plant energy and our inner spirit. Okay, so how does this magic work? First, you really have to empower your plant. So if you look at your card, you can see I always put a little reminder in all the pages before you start your meal to remind you to empower your plant. And empowering your plant aligns the vibration of your plant with your intention. And really this process increases the effectiveness of the magic. And there are only 3 things you really need to do to empower the plant. The first is you need to have your personal power. And personal power is really the energy that sustains our bodies. And personal power is released through movement, not just through physical exercise, but through our thoughts and visualizations as well. The second thing we need is, of course, the awareness of all these plant energies and their intentions. And the third, which is the most important, is faith. So by infusing our energy and our personal power with these plants, you now activate and give the magic energy direction, enabling it to help you manifest your desired outcome. So what you would do is, before you started to use the plant, you would take a few minutes, hold the plant or herb or ingredient, whatever you're using, in your hand, visualize your desired result, send it into the plant, and when you're ready, add the Enchanted plant into the recipe. You know, these plants and herbs are really powerful on their own. However, their power and your awareness are really not enough. You need to activate the magic with your intention. It's like a car parked in the driveway. You know the tank is full of gas, the keys are in the ignition, you know the purpose of the car and what it provides to you, but unless you go start that car up, it's just going to be sitting in the driveway going nowhere. So the point is that in order to activate this magic, your participation is absolutely a requirement. As I said earlier, one of the reasons I love to cook is because it requires focus. And when I'm cooking, I am completely absorbed in it. I tune everything out. And I stay in the moment. And when you're in the moment, your awareness is heightened. And this is the perfect time what better time rather, to absorb all these powerful energies through your senses while you're cooking. You know, when we need and want something badly enough, our personal power is really, or energy, is focused on that. So for instance, if I wanted to increase my finances and make more money, I would be spending a whole lot of time, that would be weighing heavy on my mind, and I would be spending a lot of time focusing on how I was going to achieve this desire. And since my awareness is heightened because I'm cooking, this is really the perfect opportunity for you to choose foods that are aligned with your desire. Now, for example, I know sesame seeds offers the gift of prosperity. It holds the energy of desire, opportunity, power, and abundance. So what I would do was I would either use or create a recipe using sesame seeds as my main ingredient. Now, the other ingredients that go into the recipe are also very important because they have their own unique energy. And what they do is assist in or aid the main energy. They work as little helpers, to help enhance the powers of the sesame seeds, and of course in helping us manifest our desire. So in the book, I offer a recipe called a sesame stir fry. And some of the other ingredients in that recipe are carrots. And carrots gives us with inner power. So if your desire, of course, is to increase your finances, inner power is going to give you the confidence to create. I have onions in there, of course. Onions not only gives us with hope, but it gives us the sense of the possibilities to create. Garlic gives us with release, which allows us to let go of our fear and concentrate on our desire. Snow peas is also in there, and they gift us with attraction, which brings us the opportunities. Peppers are in there, and they gift us with expression. And expression gives us the freedom to create. Salt gives us with self-worth, and pepper gives us with responsibility. So hopefully you get an idea of how this starts to work. It's really a collaborative effort here. It's collective energies coming together for the sole purpose of helping you manifest your desired result. Since sesame seeds really is your main ingredient, that's really the only energy source that you really have to empower. And as I said earlier, you would just take a few minutes and visualize your desired result, send it into the spice, add it to the recipe, and surrender it. Since we release our personal power through movement, cooking allows us to infuse our energy with all of the other minor energies. So you don't have to empower each and every ingredient. You want to really empower the one that your desire is aligned with. So now really you have the awareness and the power to literally create your desired outcome. Now there are two ways this magic works, in a tangible way and an intangible way. These plants and herbs are really here to offer their power to help us restore and keep the balance in our lives. So you can use these plants and herbs as you would a multivitamin, an overall, keeping optimal health. Or you can use it to as a specific intention, as the example I just gave you about sesame seeds. If you're looking to create more finances, you would then make it a specific intention and pick the particular herb that you would use to do that. Tangible desires. So how long does this take to work, basically? This is really, again, up to you. Again, these plants and herbs really need your participation in order to do that. So tangible desires like money could really actually manifest pretty quickly for you. But emotional, issues obviously can take a lot longer to heal. This is where the faith part comes in. You've really got to believe and trust in this magic and that it's going to work for you. So how many times do you have to eat these foods? Well, for tangible, like I said, for money, you really only have to eat these foods one time. You don't have to continually eat sesame seeds all day long, every day, until you make all the money that you want to make. However, if you really like sesame seeds, you can eat them anytime. It doesn't cause any more harm. But there's no need to, you don't have to, because the magic is already activated and it's already at work. So the best thing really to do is just to eat these foods, eat them and forget about it. Let the magic do its thing. The most important thing here is for you to stay on purpose with your intention, because the magic will really only work as long as your intention is there. Now, cooking is what helps you infuse your energy with these plant energies. But for those of us who really don't like to cook, or you eat out a lot, or maybe you have somebody else who does the cooking in your house, you still get the benefit of all these wonderful, powerful energies. It's the awareness that counts here. The only difference is that you are not empowering these plants and herbs, so it's not personalized to your desire. But you do get the benefit in a very general sense. So, so if someone else really does the cooking in your house, or you eat out a lot, as long as you're aware of one or some of the ingredients, you know what their energies have to offer, all you really have to do is visualize your desire and send it into the meal. And now you've activated the magic and made it more personal to you. Okay, we're getting to the good part. Earlier I asked you to please hold off eating your nut clusters, and because I wanted you to learn a little bit more about magical herbalism and what it had to offer you. So even though I made the nut clusters, it was my intention to offer you a gift today to help you create a balance between your practical and playful side. And I thought that was a pretty safe or good energy to choose and present to you today, because I don't know too many of us who can't use a little more fun in our lives. So even though, again, as I said, even though I made the nut clusters, by making you aware of their energies, you now have a choice to activate this magic, or by infusing your personal power or your energy with the nut cluster and activating it. So I wanted to ask everybody to go ahead and take out your little nut clusters. And if you want to, we're going to give everybody a moment to just close your eyes and hold it in your hand and visualize what it is that you'd like. And when you're ready, pop them in your mouth and eat them. Everybody ready? Go ahead. If those of you who already ate your nut clusters, we do have plenty though. Ready? Now, even though I've just really given you a few examples today, you can see how eating specific foods is really an effective method in enhancing and helping you create positive change in your lives. Eating really is a merging with the earth, and herb magic gets its power from the earth. So what magical herbalism really has to offer us is really a simple and direct form of self-transformation. It really focuses on the emotional and spiritual attributes of each plant and herb and allows us to unite our energy with the plant energy. So with your awareness and with your awareness of these magical energies and your intention, you now empower yourself really to make a commitment to change. Now, you don't have to use my recipes for this magic to work. You can use your own, you can create your own, you can even eat these in their raw state, vegetables, fruits, or whatever. I happen to love to cook, so this is the form in which I chose to share this information with you. What this book really provides for you is a concept and of the knowledge and a method in which to use this. But more importantly, I designed this book to be a really fun and enjoyable experience. I mean, this is not rocket science here, folks. This is supposed to be fun and not taken too seriously. Now, I really want you to address, if you really don't like to cook, but you have to cook you have children or loved ones to care for, if you can really keep in mind all the wonderful, powerful energies that you are feeding your loved ones, I'm not going to say this is going to make you love to cook, but hopefully it will make you feel a whole lot better about having to prepare a meal or cook a meal for somebody. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we always see the term cook with love. To me, that is single-handedly the most important energy or ingredient you can put into your meal. Especially if you're sharing a meal, because as I said earlier, sharing a meal is really sharing your energy. So if you don't like to cook, and you have to cook, as I said, if you're really in a bad mood, as long as you really feel love for your family, that energy is what will get infused into the food. So you don't have to think, I'm feeding them, if I'm not feeling the love in my heart today, that you're feeding them any kind of bad energy. There is no bad energy. All these plants and herbs really have to offer us is nothing but positive and powerful energy. And sometimes all we really need is a smell or a taste to awaken a positive energy. These energy really vibrates in all of our food, and they're really just literally waiting for us to sense and use them. What I've learned really through my experience is that these exotic, aromatic, and magical energies stimulate our emotions, motivate our minds, aid our physical bodies, and nurture our spirit. And the Enchanted Garden offers us a unique perspective and provides the tools for us to connect and create positive change in our lives. And I'd like to open the floor up to anybody who has any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? I think she's really made you look at food a whole lot different. We always think it's just something to stuff in our mouths, Okay.
I have a question. Can we pass that? We only have two mics. You want to take another material? Hold on, love. In your research that you've done, did you find any similarities between vegetables that are high in B vitamins and the emotional, healings of them?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Okay, you said that broccoli was good for, I forget, laughter, joy.
Yes.
Okay, what is spinach? I know it's in your book, but is there a correlation between spinach, broccoli, kale? They
all offer their own unique energy and gift, really. Are you asking me as far as medicinal?
Yes.
Because medicinal, I don't have any medicinal energy in here at all. I concentrated on the emotional and spiritual attributes of these plants.
Then what are the emotional attributes of spinach?
Okay, I'll have to look that up because this is channeled. I just want to let everybody know this is channeled energy, and if you're not aware, when you channel anything, the information literally comes in and goes out. So I don't have these memorized at all. So I would have to look that up for you. And if you want to take a, yeah, it's in the book.
Then I'll find the answer.
Everything's in the book.
Okay. Thank you.
First, I want to thank you for what you're teaching us, even with the book in Korea or someplace. My question is, if you've had a balance in your book between, say, raw food and cooked food, such as spinach and this and that and the other, not just the herbs. And I just say it, as many people here know, my life has been completely transformed by eating and juicing raw greens. And I've had carrot juice for 30 or 40 years and other juicers, but when I started eating the raw food, it transformed my life, my nails, my hair, and my whole person. I wonder if you have any comments on eating raw food along with the other things.
You can eat, as I said before, you do not, I chose to pass this information along through cooking because it's my passion, it's what I enjoy doing. No, you can eat any of these in a raw state, anything. You still get those energies. It's really the awareness and, again, your intention that activates this magic. So, any fruit or vegetable, or I don't think too many herbs or spices you would eat in you'd want to probably cook that with something, but anything can be eaten raw in here. So yeah, you can get the benefits of that. It does not have to be, you do not have to cook these foods in order to get this power. I want to emphasize that. It again is just the way I am presenting it to you because it's my passion.